Welcome back, everybody, to some more Grand Tactician, the Civil War, and I just want to say thank you to the great response that you all had to the first episode of this new series. I'm hoping it's going to be really interesting and really a lot of entertainment for you guys to enjoy and watch as much as it will be for me to play. Do have a couple more units to go ahead and get added. I apologize, I forgot about Morgan's Raiders last time. So for now, we're going to attach them to the Army of East Tennessee. They are under the command of Colonel John Hunt Morgan. They don't have his picture yet, but he's here. And he's rated pretty good too, but eventually our goal is going to be to form a separate division, or at the very least just a brigade with him, and send him on a raid. But first we've got to stabilize and defend our situation in Tennessee and take Tennessee back before we can make that happen. All right, two other brigades I want to make you aware of here. The Missouri Bushwhackers. I believe there's actually an H in Bushwhacker. So we'll get them in there. They're going to be a cavalry brigade in the Army of the West, and we are going to give them the Bushwhacker perk when the time comes. I believe that's an available perk. We don't have any of the repeating rifles available yet. I think once we get Diplomacy 2, those might become available. The other addition and also a change I want to show you is we created a new division, D.H. Hill's division. D.H. Hill's got some pretty nice stats for a commander. We actually probably could put him in Corps Command, would be a good idea moving forward. But I've moved Claiborne's brigade over there. I've also moved the Rock City Guards over there, and then we've created Wheat's Tigers. Now, when this unit was requested, he actually said blue-gray jackets and pants. There's no blue-gray, so I didn't know if you wanted blue or gray, so I went with the gray, which I think looks pretty nice there. I also replaced Leonidas Polk with Richard H. Anderson as a commander. He's got much better stats, and I'm probably going to do that moving forward. One of the things that they mention about the commanders and the command structure is that your units begin to take on the character of their commanders. And so if you've got a poor Corps commander or Army commander, that's going to trickle down into the subordinate units below them. So it's really important, especially at the higher levels, that you have good commanders in place, because it is going to trickle down and they're going to take on kind of the role of their subordinate units. I think I'm going to go ahead and replace Braxton Bragg too. Let's take a look and see if we've got anybody decent that we can replace him with. I don't know why it's showing George T. Anderson like that. So actually we have Joe Johnston without a command right now, so we're going to go ahead and assign him to take over for Braxton Bragg's corps in the Army of Mississippi. So we've got Johnston under Johnston. And Breckinridge I think we'll keep for now. He's got the Reserve Corps. We're going to actually, let's see, we've got First Corps, Second Corps. We're going to go ahead and just rename this one to Third Corps just to kind of keep it even. And then I do have one more unit to add, and we're going to add them into the Army of the West. There we go, the Fayetteville Light Infantry. That one's for you, Lars. Sorry it took so long to get you in there, but I believe we are all caught up now. So let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. So right now we're just still trying to pull back the Army of Mississippi down to around Corinth with all three of our corps here. We've got the Third Corps over here, Second Corps here, First Corps is dropping back. And we're going to wait and see what Grant and Buell do. Morgan's command is in contact with the Army of East Tennessee. So let's see how the Battle of Cumberland Gap. All right, this is going to be interesting. Let's do this. So this is an important battle. We're fighting it on the Perryville battlefield, so that's cool. I haven't fought on that one before. And it's important because winning a victory against the Union in eastern Tennessee could open the door to eastern Kentucky and allow us to drive them out of eastern Tennessee, which is a pro-Union area of the country. East Tennessee was very heavily pro-Union. It's also the place where Andrew Johnson came from. He was the military governor of Tennessee, and then, of course, became the vice president in 1865, and then the president after that. Pro-slavery, but also remained loyal to the Union. So we're going to go ahead and get aggressive on this one because we do have a numerical advantage. Let's go ahead and take a look at that on the strength report. Yeah, we've got about a 3,000 man advantage, about equal numbers of guns. And infantry is about equal, but we also have 3,000 cavalry. So it appears that he's somewhere in this area. He hasn't quite made it as far as Doctor's Creek. But we're going to come up here on the Chaplain River and try to cover some of these crossings. I did not do anything, by way of upgrading the weapons in the Army of East Tennessee. I hadn't gotten that far yet. Wasn't expecting contact so soon. So my 2 cavalry brigades are pretty small, and they both have shotguns. My only artillery, 19 guns, they're 6-pounder field guns. As soon as we hit Diplomacy 2, which we're developing right now, that's going to allow access to a lot more weapons, including hopefully some of the repeating rifles that can be imported. So we're going to go ahead and cover right here in Perryville, as well as at the Crawford house there. We're going to try to cover those 2 spots as far as a crossing goes and hope that that's where he chooses to cross, though it looks like he may be going this way. So we'll try to keep Hancock up there and keep an eye out for what's happening. We are moving Colquitt's division over here, but I might shift them even further. Okay, so we've sighted him with our cavalry. He is coming down this main road. So we're going to pull Steedman back. I'm going to pull him back over here, just so if we see an opportunity for a flank attack, we can take it. Warren's division started getting into position, and then all of a sudden he gave orders for them to drop back all the way to here. So now I'm having to reissue those orders. So I'm going to have to tell Warren, all right, let's go down to Warren. I'm going to have to tell him no initiative, sir. I want you to go exactly where I tell you to and no further. All right, he's shifted. I have Warren's division occupying all the buildings on this side in Perryville. You can see now that he's actually shifted his focus and he's heading this way. So we're going to go ahead and pull Hancock back. It's good that I have Hancock there to be able to see that. So now it looks like he may try to cross here, or he even may try to cross up here a little further. Let's just wait and see what he does. We may have to cross and hit him first. I'm going to go ahead and speed time up a little bit. All right, he's sending out skirmishers. We're waiting for Hancock to get the order there. He finally got it. It took a little while. Now he's pulling back. I think we're going to have to probably hit him. All right, well, as I moved Warren's division across to get into a battle line over here, I can see that he's shifting this way. All right, these guys have shotguns, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to dismount and try to fight with them too much. See where we're getting into position here. All right, we're not going to be quite as far up as I'd like. We're going to have to push this line and definitely push with Warren. He's got his artillery firing on me here, so let's bring the Tennessee cavalry up as well. We're waiting for him to get his new orders. All right, Colquitt, bring your guys up. Oh, boy. They lost 162 men? Jeez. All right. Get him out of there. Fall back. It's going to take a while for those orders to get there, though. Got mixed muskets. This isn't going to be necessarily my best fight in terms of the weaponry I have or the manpower that I have. These are small units that have seen a lot of attrition already. Hopefully we can push up forward here. All right, Warren, bring them up further. Let's get this guy in a pincer move. Just keep focusing on me here. Alright, I might have to sacrifice these guys, but if I can take out his artillery, it might be worth it. Or at least severely hinder their ability to function. That's the only artillery he's got. Come on, boys. See what you can do. Alright, yeah, you guys all focus on that cavalry there. Looks like it worked. I think I really screwed up his artillery. Of course, now Hancock's going to pay for it. I wonder if I can ride them through and get them out of there. If we lose them, we lose them. Maybe we should send Steedman in too. It's alright, as long as he's occupied with them, he can't do anything about what's coming at him. Alright, how are we doing, Warren? Let's get him moved up. Let's also move Smith's artillery up. Alright, there goes Hancock. He broke as expected. But not before doing good service to the army. 304 losses, but he definitely helped us out tremendously. Now we'll bring Warren in and we'll finish this. See how we're doing on casualties. I'm actually pretty even. And of course, a lot of that's my cavalry. He's down to, he's only actually got 6,500 men now. Nice clear day for a fight. Can we occupy this building? No, we can't. Yeah, you guys got bigger problems now. Bring them in, Warren. Bring them all the way up to here. Colquitt, let's push up. Oh, Ledbetter's got an upgrade available. Let's give him Iron Discipline. I like that. That and the Deadly Volley are both two of my favorites for early on. Alright, we're going to push this attack now, and hopefully we'll break him. And this may be what secures East Tennessee for us, unless he sends additional troops, which is certainly possible. He might shift the Army of the Ohio over this way after losing here. I really don't know what he's going to do, because with the aggression set as high as it is, honestly anything could happen. Alright, boys. Alright, let's give Warren's entire division orders to fire at long range. Alright, he's falling back now. All the way along the line. Anytime we've got him outnumbered, unless I royally mess up somehow, it should be a pretty well foregone conclusion that I'm going to win. At least for now. Until the AI gets a little smarter, which I trust it will. Alright, Stevenson, let's get you moved up. I think we can go ahead and speed time up a little bit now. Alright, I'm pretty happy with where we are. I could probably still bring Whitaker's batteries up a little more. I think that might be it. Yep, there we go. Alright, major Confederate victory. He knew when to get out, so I'm glad to see that instead of him taking 5,000–6,000 casualties. So he took about 25% casualties, and he said, alright, that's enough. We've seen enough. So let's see who gets the battle honors for this one. Alright, due to his battle honors, Colonel Rains has become famous and an inspiration for his men. it's going to take a little while into the campaign for me to kind of keep track of who is in charge of who as far as the commanders go. So I'm not entirely sure which unit Colonel Rains is in charge of, but we'll see that in just a minute here. And we're going to kind of see where that leaves things in eastern Tennessee. Okay, so Colonel Rains, so he was one of the infantry brigades. So well done, sir. And he's actually got an upgrade available, so we're going to give them Iron Discipline. All right, let's take a look at East Tennessee. Morgan's command's going to fall back. And that basically drives him out of East Tennessee. Now, once I get the Army of Mississippi coordinated and together, it looks like Grant's actually heading east. So this might be my opportunity to try and crush Buell by himself. So let's go ahead and start moving forward. Sorry, Anderson, I'm gonna have you turn back around and start heading up, and we're gonna move all 3 of these corps at the same time. But in different areas. So just in case Grant decides to turn back around, which he certainly may. He's got 43,000 men. That's not a force I want to mess with the Army of East Tennessee, and they're only 13,000 men. But I might have to. So I'm hoping that we start getting the pressure on him and he decides to turn back around with the Army of the Tennessee. Although he could also bring the Army of the Mississippi down. So I don't know what he's going to do. Let's just watch and see. So meanwhile, after Jackson's corps was driven back here in northeastern Virginia, we want to get him back to Winchester as quickly as possible. Of course, that means getting him to halt his current orders, which were to basically retreat. Oh, disaster at Mobile Bay. I don't know what happened there. It looks like it was probably naval action. Yeah. So he hit my Mobile squadron, which only has 3 ships. I don't have much of a navy at the moment. We'll get there. We'll focus on that at some point. Just not yet. Army of the Tennessee is driving deep into Kentucky now. There's industrialization policy 1. There's another naval defeat for me as he's driving off my Mississippi River squadron. And that's going to open the Mississippi probably down almost to Fort Pillow. Where are we at on policies? So we're almost halfway on diplomacy 2. Let's go ahead and do arming of civilian ships. There's really no downside to that one, I don't think. Where are we at on British intervention? We're only at 20%. We have a conscription act and bounties available, but right now I don't need it. I'm okay on manpower. He's got about 90,000 more men in the field than me, and I'm very comfortable with that. I believe that's a winning number for me right now. As long as he doesn't get, up to like 2-to-1 on me, we should be okay. So let's see where we're at. We've got all 3 corps of the Army of the Mississippi, or Army of Mississippi, moving now. The Confederates tend to name their armies after regions, Union after rivers. So that's why you have the Army of the Tennessee in the Union, but the Army of Tennessee, or in this case, the Army of Mississippi for the Confederacy. So this is going to be interesting because Grant has basically abandoned Don Carlos Buell to fend for himself in Nashville. And we're moving on Nashville with 60,000 men. What's the Army of the Mississippi got? He's got 20,000 there. So you know what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to send Richard Anderson to take, I know it says Fort Hyman, but this is Fort Henry and Fort Donelson. So Richard Anderson's going to take those forts while we move with Joe Johnston's corps and John C. Breckinridge's corps against the Army of the Ohio in Nashville. Okay, so the fight has begun for Fort Donelson. I don't know how many men he's got in the garrison there. I'm guessing not many. He's got 148 men. So that'll be kind of like Fort Henry basically fell without much of a fight because the troops who were there historically, when the Union took it, actually, those Confederate troops fled to Donelson on the other side. But we're going to go ahead and just auto-resolve this assault so we can finish off Fort Donelson. And I'm going to stop the 2nd and 3rd Corps just short of Nashville so we can have the entire force now that we've taken Donelson. Now let's go ahead and move on. Okay, we're already assaulting Fort Hyman now. Let's go ahead and do the same. Let's auto-resolve that assault. I don't expect he's got many men there. 149, same deal. Once we've secured those and we can go ahead and maybe get a decent garrison in those, then all eyes turn on Nashville. Now, I know this was a super short episode, but unfortunately, if I want to be able to get this content out to you guys today, I've got to go ahead and deliver it now. So I would expect major battles to come in the next episode because we're going to be fighting the Army of the Ohio. We probably will face the Army of the Mississippi, possibly even the Army of the Tennessee. There's diplomacy too. So before we wrap this episode up, I want to take a look and see what new options we have available to us as far as weaponry goes, especially for our cavalry. So now with Diplomacy 2, we now have a number of new options as far as carbines go. We can go with the Colt revolving carbine that fires 12 rounds a minute. And since we actually have availability of production on that one, this is something I'll address in one of the future tutorials, but production, if you start mass producing a certain kind of weapon for large parts of your army, you're going to get that standardization number to go up. And when the standardization number goes up, the cost of equipping that weapon, not only the cost of getting them to your troops in the first place, but also the maintenance cost for that unit goes down. So we have to decide what weapon we want to use with our artillery. Or with our cavalry, and I'd like to try and make it all the same and make it something that we can mass produce. Now, the Colt revolving carbine's got a great rate of fire, but it's only got an effective range of 200 yards, so that's a problem. I'd like something with a good rate of fire, but also a decent range. So the model 1817 now, Sharps carbine, there we go. Sharps rifle, no. Well, the Sharps rifle has 9 rounds a minute, but has an effective range of 500 yards. That's the one we want. It's a little more expensive, but we're going to start producing that. And if we start producing a lot of those, I would expect us to start seeing that standardization number go up. So Sharps rifle it is. So we'll start getting all of our existing cavalry units equipped with those, especially since a lot of them have shotguns right now. And I don't know how quickly that'll happen, but that'll be an interesting experiment to make to start seeing how quickly those get into service. Or I should say how quickly we can see standardization take place with those. So yeah, all of these guys that have shotguns right now, we're going to switch them all over to the Sharps rifle. And that's going to get expensive, so I don't think I want to replace everybody all at once. Let's go ahead and look also then at the infantry weapons that are available now. We don't have the Springfield rifle musket yet, which is going to be the most common one we're going to see for the Union. And we can import the Enfield, which is primarily what we've been equipping new units with so far as the Enfield. But that's not going to help us with standardization. So Mississippi rifle might be a really good choice. It's got a lower rate of fire, but a fantastic effective range. And it's fairly inexpensive too. So at least maybe in the Army of the Mississippi, maybe that's what we're going to go with. But we'll work on that some more on my own off camera. But I'm going to wrap it up right there. Let me know your thoughts. I know that was only about a 25-minute or so, 30-minute episode. We'll try to make the next one longer because I think we're going to have some major combat coming up. Drop a like if you would. And if you're interested in becoming a supporter on Patreon, get yourself your own unit in the game. Just click on the link and you can read all about that if you want to do that. Thanks so much, guys, for your continued support of this channel. We'll see you again soon.